You know when you hear a song and you just can't stop like giggling to yourself, like this is so over the top and I absolutely love it. This is exactly what I came here for. Let's talk about The Spirit Lives On by Lovebites. So we just got an audio recording dropped to YouTube of The Spirit Lives On by Lovebites. And Lovebites are a group who, as you guys probably know if you've been following this channel, I've kind of said, we first covered them back in like 2019. There was just a long gap where we didn't really follow them very much, and just in the last year I've been getting into catching up with Lovebites and giving, as always, our honest reviews on this channel where we don't kiss ass. We're completely honest about what I really think about the songs. And you know what, this was one of those ones where when the minute I pressed play it came in instantaneously, and it just reminded me of why I have started to really enjoy listening to this band. Well, this is a band who I keep on coming back to, and so a lot of the things I might say in this review might sound familiar, but it also brought me to some conclusions about Lovebites that I just suddenly have been developing over time. It just suddenly came to me. Anyway, let's get into it. So first of all, let's talk about what the song actually is. And to be honest, it is pretty much, it's not doing anything different for Lovebites. It's doing exactly what we would expect, but it's really taking their formula and doing it in a gleefully over-the-top way. Now, as usual, we get a double sort of speed drum beat that is going so fast you can barely hold on to yourself, and we're getting big dramatic vocals, we're getting guitar solos in the bridge. It's all the things that we're used to, and as is always the case in the best Lovebites songs, it does the formula but with enough of an identity, with enough uniqueness to not just sound like retreading ground, to actually sound like it is a new song with its own quality, which is always a difficult line you have to walk when you're a band who has very much a signature sound. So in those sort of technical ways, pretty much what we expected. But it did also have, as I mentioned, that effect that I really like with the best Lovebites songs. They're the ones where they're just so gleefully energetic that you can't help but sit there with a smile growing on your face, just giggling like, this is so over the top. And it did kind of make me realise, because there are some bands who try to be over the top and it comes off as cheesy. And cheesy is not always bad. I don't think cheesy is always bad, but you can go too cheesy where it just sounds like, okay, this sounds like self-parody. Lovebites seem to always step onto that line where it's like so over the top that you're like, okay, this is like really crazy, and you kind of want to giggle, but so you're giggling but you're also enjoying it, just like this is madness, but madness in a really good way. It actually is working. It's actually making my foot bob. It's making my head go uncontrollably. I'm enjoying this melody. I kind of want to, even if I don't know the lyrics because it's the first time I'm hearing it, I just want to open my mouth and just bellow whatever the lyrics are to the sky. It is that fact that it manages to be so gleeful over the top but also seems to be effective, and this really brought me on to a bit of a realization about the Lovebites sound. But before I get into that, I must point out something about why this works so well in a way that maybe we don't think about, and that is the technical side, as in the mixing and everything. Now, there are other bands who maybe go for the double kick sound, go for the really fast sound, and it doesn't come off as well because the mixes don't make it clear. When you've got this much going on, you need to have a good mix. It needs to be clear. It needs to both be sharp enough that everything comes through and that it doesn't just turn into a muddy mess, but it also needs to be thick enough that you get the power. And that's a kind of a difficult mix, and we can go into a technical side, and I kind of have done in previous reviews, but just when it comes to Lovebites, especially of recent, I just really feel like the songs are really well mixed. It was interesting here that the vocals and the lead guitar were not hugely turned up, not hugely rising above everything, but I think that was more to keep the general sense of power. Everything sort of was just like this driving train of energy, and yet at the same time it was clarity. The double kicks didn't turn into that wishy-washy mess that I really hate when you have bands who double kick and it just becomes and it's like, there's no precision. It's like, it doesn't matter how fast you're playing. I can't really tell if it's like double kicks or if you're just basically rolling the kick drum down a hill. In this case, it's clarity that really helps. So it is important to point out that as much as we talk about the band and the songwriting and the style, they are definitely benefited by having really good studio work on their music, in my opinion. So anyway, though, let's talk about this. I came to some interesting conclusions about the style that we're getting from Lovebites. I was trying to work out why a song like this that kind of follows the formula that we know and is therefore not particularly unexpected can be such a gleeful surprise at the same time. And I realise that there's a combination of two things that I'm really getting from the Lovebites sound. Now, the first one kind of occurred to me when I just heard some like octave guitar stuff happening in the solo. Solos here, by the way, were nicely restrained actually. I thought they were sort of done in a way that was more about building up a rhythm rather than just twiddle for the sake of twiddle. But I heard some of the octave guitar, and then I heard Asami's voice come in big and sort of operatic, as I've often said. I think she's got a very operatic style of performance. And it just suddenly clicked with me. This reminds me a bit of Queen. Strange reference perhaps, but it is those guitar solos that have occasionally that octave sound that kind of sound bigger than just a series of guitar notes. There's always something very bombastic about the guitar playing. In the way that it's layered up, in the same way you can use an octave or a chorus pedal, or you can have two guitarists playing together. But there is something about the guitar solos, they always feel bigger than just a person playing guitar solos. And the big operatic style of vocal, very different from Freddie Mercury's style of singing, but it reminded me of that feeling that when you listen to a Queen song, a Queen rock song, I always enjoyed Queen more than, you know, sort of bands like, I know it's not the same thing, but bands like Metallica and all that kind of thing, because when I listen to those, no offense, I know there's going to be a lot of Metallica fans who are going to get seriously angry, but I listen to Metallica, I'm just like, the voice doesn't do anything for me, I don't get any sense of power, I just kind of want to give the guy like cough medicine. But when I hear something like Lovebites or Queen, it's the sense that the voice really adds that big drama. It is powerful. It's clean, but it's powerful. It's got an energy. It's got an intensity. So I got that, but then also I realised that, because obviously Queen's drumming was never really like the sort of high-speed stuff we get in Lovebites, but then suddenly made me think, that kind of reminds me of like a Motorhead. Why? Now Motorhead, that's a Lemmy. He was a guy who definitely needed some cough medication. But you know, I always found Motorhead were one of the bands of that era that I kind of liked almost without explanation, just because the energy was so consistent that you just couldn't help it. Like, even if you don't know what's going on with the music, you're just like, oh my god, the energy. And that's kind of what I was thinking. This is almost like an unholy marriage of like Motorhead and Queen. Now I know there's going to be a lot of like hardcore rock and metal fans who are going to be in there saying, Howard, that's terrible, and listing why I'm wrong and blah 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 blah. I'm just saying that's the effect it has for me. Those are two bands who I like for very different reasons, and for some reason something about the Lovebites sound is giving me the same things that I enjoyed about those two bands. So yes, I just like it. It's a formula, yeah, it's a formula, and I know that it would be very easy to say that, okay, Lovebites perhaps don't have as much variation as they could potentially have, and yeah, I would love to hear them do more and more different things, but the formula certainly is working, and when I'm playing a new song and it's putting a gleeful smile on my face, I must admit, I think that this is a good song. I really enjoyed this, and you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it, let's be honest. And if you're into this kind of thing, and if you're getting at least something from it, whether it's what I'm getting or not, this is a really good song. So I guess that's my conclusion, to be honest. It's a good song. It wraps up well. It goes on for 5.5 minutes, and it feels like 2. It's just so fast. That's another sign of a song that is really good at holding your energy with sort of drama, power, and pace. Just blink of an eye. So I really enjoyed it. I hope you do too. If you don't really like the Lovebites sound anyway, this is not going to change your mind. If you do like the Lovebites sound, I would be surprised if you didn't enjoy this. That's my conclusion. Get in the comments to what you think, and until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these. For now, ciao ciao.